Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar. Let's give the people a couple of minutes to join. Okay, so let's start with the webinar. Hello everyone. My name is Jorge Contreras and today's session I'm thrilled to show you how Prism can help you centralize your data for a smarter renewable site analysis and prospecting. During this webinar, we'll be walking through the full process from early prospecting stages using Prism and all the way to project design in RatedPower. But before starting, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. I'm Jorge Contreras Panero. I work here at RatedPower as a technical advisor for Iberia, and I provide the technical insights and engineering support to all Spanish and Portuguese companies, among others, on how to make the most out of RatedPower and Prism. My background, I'm industrial engineer with a strong passion for renewable energies, as well as the software as a service innovation, like we do here at RatedPower, and that's why I truly love my job here at RatedPower as well. So the index we'll be following today is the one you can see on your screen. We'll be starting with a brief introduction of what is Prism, the main benefits and the why use Prism is beneficial, where does Prism fit in your workflow and how it complements with RatedPower. We'll give a look at the main stakeholders who could potentially benefit from Prism, which datasets are currently available in Prism Europe, which is the main topic of this webinar. And of course, the most interesting part, the real use case combining both Prism and RatedPower. And finally, we'll end up with a Q&A session. So feel free during the entire presentation to drop your questions and we'll address them at the end of this meeting. Okay, so first of all, what is Prism? If we think about one of the biggest challenges during the initial stage of renewable energy projects, we can think about making smart informed decisions for project siting could be one of the most important ones. Why? Because most of the stakeholders during this process need to gather a multitude of data from various sources, such as land cadastral databases, interconnection availability, different land constraints, pricing data, etc. And this information, unfortunately, is often scattered, incomplete. Sometimes it's not even correctly geolocated nor updated or even digitized, and with different namings, formattings, etc. So this can lead us really a time-consuming manual work, and therefore increase our likelihood of missing high potential sites. But what if all this data you need to plan your PV or best project, environmental, technical, financial wise, was already connected, filtered, and ready for action into a single platform? So that's exactly what Prism does. Prism is a powerful tool, energy analytic tool, specifically developed by Embers to speed up this process, to speed up and accelerate the PV and BESS project siting. It helps providing those data-driven decisions, such as finding the suitable site for either PV or BESS, evaluate technical and financial feasibility with precision, maximize the grid connection opportunities, and of course, accelerate the decision making across the project lifecycle. So having said that, with over 10 years of experience in the US energy sector, such as oil and gas, renewable energies, and Verus, our matrix company here at RatedPower, has decided to expand Prism into Europe to help those customers, European customers, to have this know-how and to be able to use a platform such Prism does here in the US and now in Europe. No? So why use Prism is beneficial? Why you have this in mind? So now that we have seen the challenges, let's look at the solution. We can see clearly here in this slide the main advantages of using Prism and the value it brings to early stage renewable projects. Just going super quick, it brings an acceleration in the site selection because it's as well as RatedPower, a cloud-based software using different GIS layers like exclusion layers, parcels, grid infrastructure, etc. It also brings early risk mitigation because it enables the identification of permitting, grid access, market risk up to a year earlier with the database that we already have. It also brings a higher interconnection success because using the real-time grid capacity insights enables you to speed up this process. It also streamlines the approval process because it enables you to have a full integration with RatedPower, and then you can easily shift from prospecting to design, shifting from RatedPower to Prism and vice versa, generating the documents even faster. No? Finally, the most important one, you can take those decisions with clear reasons by using filters, comparing different internal data sources and external data sources, and so make a smarter data-driven decision. So where does Prism fit in your workflow? This chart is super interesting because it shows how RatedPower and Inverus support every stage of a PV plus BESS plant lifecycle. Starting from the site identification to detailed design, both Prism and RatedPower softwares offers a seamless integrated workflow. So today, for this webinar, and specifically for this Prism Europe tool plays a key role and is located in the first stage in the site identification, conceptualization, and feasibility study in projects across Europe. Who benefits from Prism? So if we take a closer look at how different stakeholders could potentially benefit from using Prism, we could tell, first of all, the solar project developers identifying suitable parcels, evaluating grid access, capacity, accelerating early stage project decisions, etc. Together with that, we have EPC companies which could potentially execute projects more efficiently using precise data at the very beginning and bring that data to the design process in RatedPower, reducing the design errors as well. Also, the engineering firms using Prism to have this advanced modeling and then bring that advanced modeling into RatedPower to do the simulations, optimize the system performance, streamline the technical validation at the end. And finally, the financial institutions and investors who could access accurate site metrics such as LCO estimations and make that informed decision by understanding the project risks and the return on investment, for instance, in RatedPower. So moving next with the fifth point, which datasets are currently available in Prism Europe? So if you take a closer look of this slide, you will clearly see that the dataset coverage status so far in Prism Europe, because bear in mind that we are explaining Prism Europe. We also have a 10 years background in the US markets. But for Prism Europe, we have this dataset coverage status. No? Our main goal is to have specific datasets. As you can see here, in the first row, you have the different datasets available, which are parcels, substation, and exclusion layers, together with the CBA. We'll explain that later. So our main idea is to complete those datasets for the following countries in the first column, which is Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and UK. So as you can notice, the first country to be developed, fully developed, is Spain. Our idea is to have those datasets available in order to create the CBA model. What is that? The CBA model is a model that Prism generates. It stands for customizable buildable acreage, and it enables the user to use these parcel, substation, and exclusion layers to go and select from a gross area a net prospecting area. So that's why we are aiming to have, and we are pretty much advanced on the different countries on having the parcels and also the substations, and therefore at the end having the CBA model. So just an overview, this kind of like a quite simple, super clarifying snapshot of what is the CBA model. It will enable user integrate the fuel workflow between Prism and RatedPower. Why? Because you could go to Prism, you could evaluate the grid capacity, evaluate the parcels available, and how they interact with the exclusion layers. And basically, you will be able to send your site from Prism, already defined, this net area, into RatedPower, and then simulate and download all associated documents. That's the main idea of the CBA model. So the most important and the most interesting part here in this webinar is this use case, a real scenario from Prism to RatedPower. But before going to this exercise, let me share with you, this is the resources that we are going to be referring today. Of course, we have the Prism Europe methodology in articles, specifically with the walkthrough explaining the interface of Prism, and of course the Prism ebook that if you wish, you will receive it at the end of this webinar. So our case, our use case. So the real scenario that we are going to be carrying out is developing a PV project with the following requirements. We just want to have a PV plant of around 50 megawatts AC located in Spain, ranging with a voltage tension level of 66 and up to 220 kilovolts, and utilizing an area around 100 hectares, choosing between 1 to 5 parcels. The main idea here is to standardize the exercise and so to track it easily. So let's go to Prism. Sorry, I think my screen went black. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. I think we got a problem with the connection. But yeah, I think we recovered that. Okay, so going back to the presentation, I think we skip it. Okay, So I think we can continue with the Prism presentation. Let me go back again to the specific slide of Prism, which is the use case. So nice. We have this exercise of a 50 megawatts AC project, a voltage tension level between 66 and 220 kilovolts, and using an area of 100 hectares between 1 to 5 parcels. So let's jump to Prism, and let's see the interesting part. Okay, so if everything is well and we can see the screen, here you have my screen shared. This is the real interface of Prism. As a pretty brief introduction, we have from left to right the different tabs available to clip and to sort our information, our data sources. So on the left side panel, we have the filter drawer in which every single layer that we are displaying here in the map view will be stored. So far we have parcel and substations, but if we happen to add an additional one, we'll keep it here. Then, depending on the data set, specifically parcels, for instance, we can be adding filters, and those filters are going to be applied inside the map view. The main idea is to have the map view as a main view, and then with this main view, we can be adding different layers, for instance, exclusion layers, roots, river, and then we can carry out this exercise. So for instance, I have toggle on the routes, the roads, and then we can use them properly. You see that you have included here the filter drawer, and then we can continue doing the exercise. So this dashboard by default is the Prospect Europe dashboard. This is the main dashboard used in Prism Europe. As I was telling you, you have many different base role depending on the sector, energy sector you're belonging. For instance, you have the power and renewables, you have oil and gas, you have so many dashboards, but today we're going to be using the Prism Europe. Finally, on the right side, we have extra widgets, which are those data table, different row charts, pie charts, bubble charts, which can be used to better understand the information displayed inside the map view. So the idea here is that users by default can potentially use this default dashboard, the Prospect Europe, but they can also go here and be adding different widgets to customize their dashboards. Finally, in order to be much more fast and quick in doing this exercise, we are going to be following the let's say points. So the points and the steps that we want to perform during the analysis are the ones that you can see on your screen on these slides. First of all, we are going to be assessing the point of interconnection capacity. If we have enough capacity to connect our PV plant to the node, then we are going to be assessing the regional analysis regarding the parcels. And then together and combined, we are going to evaluate the available area around those substations in order to get the suitable land analysis gross area without any exclusions, and then the net area with all the exclusion layers applied. With that, we finally will be selecting the site and exporting it to RatedPower. So let's do that. If we switch back to Prism, as I was telling you, you could start toggling on and off the different layers. The main idea is to start with a substation with this point of interconnection assessment. As you can tell here on the map view, we have substations already across Spain and France. We are aiming to have it, as we were discussing on the slides, on Germany, Italy, UK. But so far we have it here. So for our exercise, what we are going to do is to clip the information about substations. So it's that simple to go here and select, for instance, the voltage. You will see that if we want to have substation ranging between 666 and 220 kilovolts, then this filter will be applied to the substations, and only the Spanish substation with that characteristics will be displayed here in the map view. So in order to not overexpend the time here, creating filters on live, what we are going to be doing is following those points and then create workbooks with the filters already applied. And that's why we have here the default one, but also the ones I created for this session. So you can see right now that we have the first step, which is the point of interconnection assessment. If I click over the first step, the point of interconnection, you will see that now Prism will turn into the dashboard I created with the filters already applied. And so we can evaluate how the substations in terms of capacity and voltage level are available around Spain. Specifically, we can see that we have two filters to filter out the minimum capacity. This is because we have the legend here, and across the data source that we are displaying here, the Europe substation, we have both the TSO, the transmission system operators, and also the DSOs, the distribution system operators. So we can clip the information and filter out by a minimum available capacity in both DSO and TSO of 50 megawatts AC. We did the same with the voltage. So we have the information available in the map. Then the next steps, if we switch back to the slides, would be to have the regional analysis to combine this substation with the parcels. To do so, we are going to be following another workbook, which is the second one, the regional analysis. So in this analysis, we are going to combine the filters applied to the substation with the filters applied to the parcels. And you will see that now we have all the parcels in a certain area. Specifically, just as an example, we have decided to use an area around the southern part of Spain because of the solar hybridization, and therefore the substations, we have also clipped them regarding that region. In this case, is the southern part region of Spain. So you will notice that we have 4 million parcels, around 4 million of parcels displayed on the map, and a couple of substations which are identified in this specific area that we have clipped. So the next step would be to slightly reduce, because we have too many parcels here regarding this selected area. So if we switch back again to the presentation, we are going to be doing the area of interest analysis. What is this? The area of interest analysis is a kind of a filter that we can create around the substation in a way that instead of displaying all these parcels, we just want to display the parcels around and surrounding those substations that we have clipped. In this case, the substation that we can see here. So we can create kind of a area of interest, like a circular layer, a buffer around the substations, and create that buffer measuring, for instance, I don't know, 5,000 meters around. So you will see that if I apply the filter, then my information is going to be clipped around those substations. That's exactly what I did in the third workbook, AOI analysis. So if we jump to this third AOI analysis, then you will notice that now the information regarding parcel has been decreased. Also, the dashboard has slightly changed because of a better understanding of what we are seeing right now. And you can tell that from around 4 million of parcels, we just have 53,000 of them, all of them around those substations. So if we go here to the right side and start reading this widget that I added for this purpose, this is a widget regarding Europe parcels, where all the parcels are classified by the mean area, the mean size of their parcels. So if we select the larger parcels, the mean larger parcels, we could tell that the Cáceres parcels are by 10 hectares approximately larger than the others. So we could start doing our analysis in the only substation which has larger mean parcels. So that's exactly what we are going to be doing in the land suitable analysis. If we switch back again to the presentation, on the suitable land analysis gross area, we are going to be identifying that area which is suitable for our PV plant installation. So let's jump into the fourth workbook and let's see how the parcel looks like here. So with this fourth workbook, bear in mind that everything that I'm doing here regarding filters, the dashboard itself, how it looks like, everything has been saved as a workbook, so we don't need to be doing every single filter. But you can see that the Europe substation, it's still remaining the same. The parcels, we have added a new filter in order to only consider the bigger and the larger parcels. That's why I added a filter between 20 hectares, parcels between 20 hectares and 110 hectares. And therefore, we have them here. If we open the legend, we have a group of 62 parcels that could be potentially used for the PV plant installation. In fact, we can tell that there are 3 of them which are larger than 100 hectares, but we don't have the information regarding the exclusion layers accordingly. No? So we could go here and start toggling on those layers in order to understand how they behave. But instead of doing that, I have prepared already the suitable land analysis net area to have all these layers, exclusion layers, into consideration. So with this fifth workbook, we will see the same exact location with the same exact number of parcels, but we will be adding the different exclusion layers. So you can tell that you have the parcels, the area of interest, but also certain exclusion layers such as protected areas, transmission lines, rivers, or even water bodies. So mixing this information together and considering that this information is by default provided by Prism, but we could also even upload our own data sets. For instance, I have the data sets of rivers, overhead lines, protected areas, but I just want to add, for instance, the slopes. So we can go here in the upper left corner through the data manager, also known as Fusion Connect, and then we could upload those external data sources in order to be used here during this analysis. So for instance, if I go to user data source and then I type here, let me type a slope. I use it for this presentation. Slope, yeah. Okay, it's running super. Okay. Slopes. So if I toggle on the slopes that I externally upload them, then we will see the areas affected with slopes higher than 15%. So if I open again the legend, then you can see that we are completing the analysis with different layers, and then we have so much information that we can start doing some conclusions. For instance, the northest part of this area of interest is fully populated with areas with slope higher than 50%. So maybe those parcels, big ones, we couldn't select them. So the idea could be to go to the southern part of this area of interest and perhaps select 2 parcels. That's exactly what we are going to be doing and exporting to RatedPower. So if I switch back again and finally to the slides for the final site selection, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be selecting 2 parcels, 3, 4, whatever, and then exporting them to RatedPower and simulate in order to get the exact power that we are aiming. So for that, we already have as well a workbook, in this case a final site selection workbook. And then with this workbook, we will finally have the site located, and we could easily export it to RatedPower. So let's wait Prism to load. We'll have the filters, but you will see that apart from the layers and the parcel selected, we also have those exclusion layers with buffer generated. That's why I created from lines and from polygons different buffers. For example, regarding the rivers, we have 8 meters, a separation of 8 meters. Regarding livestock trails, 6 meters. Regarding trails, 10 meters. So we have made that selection of these two parcels, and then we could easily understand how the connection is going to be through this overhead line that is crossing, and if we have the possibility to connect it, where is the substation located, how many parcels we have here to be used in RatedPower. So the next and final step would be to export this exact design. And to do so, we are aiming to have that CBA model that I explained. But in the meantime, what we can do is to export it through shapefiles or even Google Earth files. So for instance, if I want to export the data sort parcels, specifically, we only have displayed 2 parcels because we made that selection. Then if we click on export, you will see that I will export only the 2 parcels that I'm seeing right now in the map view. If I do the same, for instance, with the, let's say, water bodies, if I go to the data source water bodies, I will only download the water bodies seen on the map view, not the whole data source. So if I export it, I will have it queued in the download queue. And finally, the same with the restricted areas, which are those river separations, buffer separations with livestock, trails, rivers, etc. So if I download, for instance, rivers, then I will get the download in the download queue. Once the download queue is completed, we can easily download it, and then the next step and final step is to go to RatedPower and do a simulation. So let's do that. So you see that both software are a cloud-based software. We can use the same account. So with the same account, we can switch from one to another. And now we are in RatedPower. RatedPower is a software to create and generate the basic design of those PV plants. And the first thing that we need to understand is every single project, which are those rows that you can see here, are like folders, and inside a folder you can do and you can make as many simulations as possible. So bearing this in mind, I just want to add and open my project I created. This is the Prism webinar. You can tell that you don't have any designs yet because this is only an empty folder. And what we are going to be doing is to create a PV design simulation. So if I open the PV design, I will directly open the real interface of RatedPower. You will see that there is already a design. Forget about it. We're going to do the complete process. So if I go to site, you see that I have this test site, but I can upload and create a site from scratch. This is what we are going to be doing so far. So if I enter the site creation, you will see that I have some requirements to fulfill, and those requirements are going to be the elements that we have identified in Prism. So for instance, if I want to go and import the information regarding parcel, we could easily go to the downloads that we made regarding parcels, use the shapefile, drag and drop it here, and then we could use the information to define our site location, in this case, the parcels and available areas. As long as we have defined these areas, we can define the behavior of them, or even if we want to merge because we just want to have one area, one single area, we can merge it. and then fulfill the minimum elements that are requiring, in this case, an access point. So let's give it an access point. The same with the, for instance, I don't know, let's do it quick. The same with envy line. We just want to evacuate our energy through an envy line. So we could define the envy line, and then the envy line connection is going to be defined and imported. If we wish to have, for instance, a switching and breaking station inside the parcel, we could draw it manually or even import it as we did previously. No? And then as soon as we have every single element fulfilling here with the requirements, we could save the design and get our site. No, that's the main idea. So let's give it a name, test, and you will see what I was referring to. So that's exactly what I did with the simulation. I took the parcels, I took the switching and breaking station. So just to make it faster, I created a site already, and I just want to show you that we could also create a complete site and with all the elements. So we can simply need to drag and drop here. In this case, it's called Prism Webinar with all the elements that you can see in Prism. And I brought here to RatedPower, and you will see that you have the different layers and restricted areas that I assigned it, no? Regarding rivers, livestock trails, water bodies, the parcels, the evacuation line, etc., etc. So once I have imported them and also the connection, also an important thing here, since the connection is made between Prism and RatedPower, you can also have information regarding parcels. If you want to, for example, add an extra parcel, you have the database available here already in RatedPower as well. So once you have defined the site, let me save it as a final site. By the way, you can create as many sites as you wish. So with this final site selection, then we can easily run a design and generate all the documents associated to this PV plant and check what's the maximum power, the total energy yield, the financial assessment, or even the different elements accounted regarding overhead lines, substation, etc., etc. Cool. That's exactly what I did. You see that, and you can tell that it's outputting 43 megawatts AC. I pretty much did an adjustment on the 6th design, and you will tell that with some adjustments, giving different namings to the different restricted areas, different colorings, different configuration for the structures, alignments, etc., then we could achieve to have those 50 megawatts that we were aiming to have and to connect to that substation. Cool. Finally, and to end up with this presentation, we have covered the complete flow from Prism to RatedPower. The most important part here is not to generate the layout, but to generate the documents. Because with this site importing process and then generation of the simulation, then we generate also the documents, the spreadsheets, Excels, and also the general layouts, which are fully editable, and then you can start working with them or even bring them to another phase, another stage of your analysis of your PA plan. You have from reports, design reports, you have bill of quantities, you have listing of cables, and of course you have the general layouts with all the layers. You have the 3D scene and also the single light diagrams, etc. Cool. So I think we have pretty much covered today's index. So I think we can directly jump to the questions. So feel free to drop your question in the question box and let's read them because I think we have many of them. Okay, so may open the questions. Okay. Perfect. So we have a question, a pretty much interesting one, which is is the software available in Australia? That's a real good one. Not yet. We are aiming to have it in Europe. That's why I showed the roadmap of the different datasets. But we have been requested so much about having this software in Australia. So we are sharing this feedback with the product design team of Prism, and we are considering expanding the software into Australia. So I cannot provide you dates, not even a short, medium term, but we have that on the scope. Okay, we have another question, which is how much does it cost to buy the software? Okay, so this software relies on subscriptions, as we did with RatedPower. So actually, if you enter to RatedPower, you don't need to buy a license for only one user. You just need to buy a license, like a subscription pack, in which as many users as you wish, you can be adding them, and then you can start working with Prism in one part, because they are separate product, Prism in one part and then RatedPower in the other. But also we understand that this covered pretty much the initial stage flow, and therefore we have different packages to cover like the preliminary stages into RatedPower analysis, and those goes with subscriptions. I cannot tell you a number because that's pretty much on on my base team, but yeah, you have a different variation of prices here, and yeah, going always with subscriptions. Cool. The next question is topography going to be taken into account in your constraints analysis? Yeah, definitely. So far in Prism, as you have seen, we have default layers that every user can take advantage from. In this case, substation, parcels, and exclusion layers. Our intention here is to have also for France, for Italy, and for UK. And finally, having, if you remember, let me go back to the slides. If you remember the slide number, let me go back super quick. This one. As soon as we have all the datasets covered in this regard, parcel, substation, exclusion layers, we will have the CVA model, and the CVA model in the backend will have these topography datasets in order to be doing, for instance, avoid areas which available area is covered with a certain slopes. So we're going to be doing that in the future, but so far it's not included, and it's going to be included in the backend. The next question is, can I use it for multiple sites? Yeah, definitely. You can use it for the sites you want. Actually, and super connected with the question regarding Australia and South Africa, what you can do is you have the default datasets, and then you can display them in the default location. But if you wish, you can even upload your datasets and use it cloud-based, for instance, in South Africa. So if you have the information available, you could upload the different datasets in South Africa and then have it. The same with Australia. But the main idea is, and the real value, the added value here is that our team is the responsible of maintaining and keeping update the data source. That's why we just want to go little by little, no, adding that data sources. So South Africa is another in consideration. I'm gonna note it down because this is super valuable feedback, and we are planning to expand it as well. But I cannot tell you. But yes, one of the main ideas. Yeah, and you can use it both Prism in multiple sites and also in RatedPower. I could even have done a project instead of this location around Spain in another location. Let me show you super quick. I just need to go to projects and create a new project. So you have unlimited projects, you have unlimited users. What you need to do is to create a new project, and then as soon as you have identified the location, you just need to give it to the software. and then you will see that this project is from scratch, and you can easily draw it, no? For instance, here in the middle of Africa, no? And then you can draw your available area and start doing your simulation if you wish, if you happen to have this information, no? And if I don't use rated power, is it available to EPCs? Of course, both software are separated. So you can have Prism from one side just for prospecting and identifying those locations. And then you can simply have the location, the CBA model, the parcels, the exclusion, and deliver that to another client, for instance, which is doing the engineering process. So definitely you can have it separately. Could you consider okay. Cool. So I see that the green side of the selected area is sloped towards north. Will that not be a challenge for sites in the northern hemisphere? Yeah, that's totally right. And what you can do here is to complement that with rated power. Why? Because let me go back. Sorry, because we are exceeding a little bit of the time, but we have so many questions and they are super interesting. So if you go to the site that we generated, in this case, this Prism webinar, inside rated power, you can perform a topography analysis, and you can tell the software, okay, I just want to evaluate a slope north facing or south facing. So for instance, this is out of scope, but let me show you super quick. If you go to topography and structures, you can enable the software to remove the structures with certain limits. In this case, topography applied to the north-south. And then here you can tell, okay, same values for both slopes or even different north and south values. And then you can tell the software, okay, just want to have 10% in the north and 15% in the south. So if you run the simulation, those structures will be removed from the simulation. Can you use this software just for BESS standalone, so not connected to PV? That's a pretty much interesting question. You could, because as you can see, you have available the data sets here in Prism regarding so many layers. But the main idea, as you have seen in the data set coverage, is to have the information regarding substation and therefore the connection of your project, either BESS or PV, to that substation. But you could perfectly use the different layers to assess your projects. While you are developing it for Spain, can you collaborate with a team in South Africa and Australia to develop it those countries? I think definitely. I mean, this is a cloud-based software. You can be with your user. In this case, I'm Jorge Contreras with my login account, but you can be working parallelly with another account in another location, although you don't have the information and you need to upload it. It's kind of a QGIS, but uploading your data sources here into Prism, and then you can combine them together and do different analysis and assessment. Cool. I hope I have answered all the questions. However, if some of the questions have not been answered, I will reply back through an email for all the attendees of this session, okay? Cool. So I think it's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for your participation through the questions. And also, sorry for this short breakdown of the sharing and the screen and the camera. I hope you have found this interesting, and see you on the next webinars. Thank you.